They warned him. Not once, not twice, but every time he passed.
The village of Abodo awoke slowly, as the soft hum of morning drums rolled across the compound. Elders gathered near the giant iroko tree, murmuring about strange signs seen in the night. A blood-red moon. A whispering wind. A shadow that walked like a man, but left no footprints. Elder Mbemina, the oldest man in the village, stood with his staff pressed into the sand. "The ancestors have spoken," he said. "Tonight, no one must cross the spirit line near the river. A great danger stirs." Most villagers bowed their heads in fear and respect. But one young man stepped forward, scoffing loudly. Obina, known for his stubbornness and reckless pride, folded his arms and smirked. "Ancestors? Spirits? Old men's tales," he said boldly. "How can shadows hurt the living?" Some gasped. Some walked away to avoid the curse of his words. Even the birds fell silent. "Obina," Elder Mbemina warned, "the spirit river protects us, but it punishes arrogance. Even your father feared its wrath." Obina chuckled. "My father feared many things. I fear nothing I can, tc." He turned away before the elder could respond. His friends whispered nervously. "Obina, leave this matter. The signs are dangerous." But Obina simply smirked. "Tomorrow, I will cross the spirit line just to prove the old man wrong." As he walked away, the wind rose suddenly, swirling dust around him. A deep, distant rumble echoed from the forest. Elder Mbemina looked toward the sky and whispered, "When a child mocks the spirits, it is the ground that will testify." The day passed quietly, but unease settled over the village like thick fog. Everyone felt it. Everyone, except Obina. He had no idea that forces older than time had already marked his name. That afternoon, Obina's friends gathered under the mango tree, whispering nervously about the elder's warning. Strange things had happened before: livestock disappearing, eerie cries at night, footprints of animals long extinct. But Obina refused to listen. "I said I will cross it tonight," Obina declared confidently, pacing in front of them. "And when nothing happens, the whole village will know the ancestors are myths." Chidera, his closest friend, shook his head. "Obina, this is not just gossip. Even the hunters avoid the spirit line today. Why tempt fate?" Obina laughed. "Because fate needs someone brave enough to face it." "Or foolish," another friend muttered. But Obina heard nothing except the sound of his own pride. He raised a small calabash of palm wine. "Tonight, I show them all." His friends exchanged worried glances. It was true, Obina feared nothing. Not snakes. Not darkness. Not the unknown. His mother had once said that his stubbornness came from his father, who had also challenged the ancestors and paid a heavy price. But Obina never believed the story. As evening approached, the sky dimmed strangely early. Clouds gathered, heavy and dark, rumbling with distant thunder though no rain fell. The air thickened. Even insects refused to sing. Still, Obina prepared. He tied a red cloth around his waist, tucked a small cutlass in his belt, and grabbed a burning torch. "I will cross the spirit line, shout the ancestors' names, and return before midnight." His friends refused to join him. "We will not follow you into madness," Chidera said firmly. "Then watch from afar," Obina replied. When night finally fell, Obina marched toward the forbidden river, unaware that something was already following him. Something ancient. Something hungry. The path to the river was unusually silent. No owls hooted. No crickets chirped. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. The torch in Obina's hand flickered violently, though there was no breeze. "The ancestors fear me already," Obina whispered mockingly. But the deeper he went, the heavier the air became. The forest pressed in on him, thick with shadows that shifted like living things. He could feel eyes watching him, cold, ancient, invisible. Still, he pushed forward until he reached it. The spirit line. A thin strip of white chalk dust curved along the earth, glowing faintly under the moonlight. The village elders renewed it every month to mark the boundary between the world of the living and the unseen. Obina laughed and kicked at the chalk with his foot. The elders waste their time. There is nothing. A sudden gust of wind snatched his torch, extinguishing it instantly. Darkness swallowed him. Obina froze. Who is there? No answer. He took a shaky step forward and crossed the spirit line. The moment his foot touched the forbidden ground, the air dropped to a freezing chill. Behind him, the chalk line glowed brighter, as though sealing him in. A distant whisper floated through the trees. Obina. Obina. He spun around. Show yourself. The whisper came again, closer this time. Why do you mock the ones who watched before time? Why do you challenge the keepers of the river? Obina's bravado faltered. Spirit tricks. I fear none of you. The trees rustled violently as if something huge brushed past them. Then silence. Suddenly, the ground beneath Obina trembled softly, pulsing like a heartbeat. He looked down. A faint, glowing footprint appeared beside his. Another one. And another. Leading toward the river. Something wanted him to follow. And Obina, stubborn as always, stepped forward. Obina followed the glowing footprints through the forest, his heartbeat echoing louder than the distant rumble of thunder. Every step felt heavier, as if the air itself resisted his presence. The trees leaned inward, their branches twisting like warning fingers. The spirit river soon came into view, its surface calm, too calm. It did not flow like ordinary rivers. It simply shimmered, glowing with a faint blue light, as if it held secrets beneath its surface. Obina swallowed hard. So this is the river the elders fear? He stepped closer. The glowing footprints vanished at the riverbank. The water rippled, though no stone had been thrown. Then, a soft, melodic voice echoed across the water. Obina, you have crossed where mortals must not. Obina stiffened. Show yourself. The water swirled, rising slowly as if forming a shape. For a moment, Obina saw the outline of a woman, tall, elegant, covered in flowing riverweed. Her eyes glowed white like twin moons. He stumbled backward. Water spirit? Her voice floated like wind through reeds. Your ancestors warned you. You chose arrogance instead of wisdom. Now you must hear the consequences. Obina shook with both fear and defiance. I don't fear you. The spirit tilted her head, amused. Then step closer. Let the river judge your heart. Obina hesitated. The river glowed brighter, lighting his trembling hands. He remembered the stories, those who mocked the ancestors never returned the same. Yet pride pushed him forward. He stepped into the water. Cold shot through his legs immediately. The river clamped around him like icy hands. The spirit smiled. The river has heard your challenge, son of Mwokiyama. It will answer. The water rose rapidly, climbing his knees, then his waist. Obina opened his mouth to scream. But the river pulled him under. The world beneath the river was not water, it was darkness. Heavy, suffocating darkness that pressed against Obina's chest. He tried to scream, but no sound escaped. He kicked wildly, but invisible hands held him still. Then he heard them. Whispers. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Foolish child, arrogant son, he mocks the ancestors, he does not know the price. Obina shook violently. He recognized some of the voices. His father's. His grandfather's. Even ancestors he had only heard about in stories. Let me go. He shouted, though his voice sounded distant and muffled. A deep, ancient voice boomed through the water. We warned them. We warned you. The spirit line protects mortals from the unseen. Yet you crossed it with pride. The darkness shifted. Faces began to appear, faint outlines of eyes and mouths, floating around him like masks carved from fog. One drifted close. It looked exactly like his father. Father? Obina whispered, trembling. The face's eyes glowed. Your pride is the same as mine once was, and it destroyed me. Do you wish the same fate? Tears mixed with the river water. I didn't mean. But the voices cut him off. You mocked us. You called our warnings lies. You spat on the wisdom of elders. The water constricted around him like a serpent. Obina felt his chest burning. The ancient voice returned. There are two paths for you, punishment or redemption. Obina gasped. Redemption. Please. The water stilled. If you truly wish redemption, you must do what no mortal has done. You must return to the village with a message, one that carries the weight of the ancestors. Obina nodded desperately. The darkness loosened its grip. But be warned, the village may never look at you the same way again. Suddenly, light burst through the water. Obina shot upward. Obina erupted from the water, gasping, coughing violently as he dragged himself back onto the riverbank. Night air hit him like a slap, but he welcomed it. He was alive. Barely. But something was wrong. His vision shimmered. The world looked sharper, edges glowing faintly. He could see shapes moving behind the trees, things no mortal eyes were meant to see. His hands trembled. Strange white markings covered his forearms, pulsating softly like living tattoos. He staggered to his feet. What have they done to me? A voice whispered behind him. They opened your eyes. Obina spun around, but no one was there. The forest, once familiar, now felt alive in a new, terrifying way. Every rustle carried meaning. Every shadow watched him. He stumbled through the trees toward the village. Each step felt heavier, as if the earth itself resisted his return. By the time he reached the outskirts of Obodo-Odu, dawn was breaking. Villagers were emerging from huts, yawning, stretching. Then they froze. Obina? Chidera whispered. Obina tried to smile, but his voice cracked. I crossed the spirit line. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Elder Mbemina pushed forward, eyes wide with shock. By the ancestors, what marks are those? Obina looked down at his glowing arms. They gave me a message. They said. But before he could finish, he collapsed to his knees, gripping his head as whispers filled his mind again. Warn them, warn them, warn them. He clutched his skull. Villagers backed away in fear. Child screamed. Mama, he is cursed. Obina looked up desperately. I am not cursed, I am marked. They chose me. But fear had already spread. And Obina realized the spirits were right. He had returned. But he would never be seen as the same Obina again. The murmurs grew louder as Obina rose unsteadily to his feet. His glowing arm markings pulsed like living flames, illuminating the fearful faces around him. Chidera approached cautiously. Obina, what did you see in the spirit river? Obina swallowed hard. They spoke to me, the ancestors, all of them. They said danger is coming. Something worse than any curse we, the known. The villagers recoiled. Elder Mbemina's voice trembled. What danger? Obina closed his eyes as the whispers filled his mind again. Tell them the river is awakening. The river is angry, Obina said, his voice shaking. It has been silent for too long, and my arrogance disturbed its rest. Now, it will punish us all unless we obey. Panic rose like wildfire. An elderly woman cried out, You have doomed us, Obina. Children ran behind their mothers. Hunters gripped their spears nervously. Elder Mbemina stepped forward. Silence. His staff struck the ground, making the villagers quiet. He looked deeply at Obina. If the ancestors truly marked you, then show us your purpose. What must we do to calm the river? Obina hesitated. The whispers grew louder. The offering must be restored. They demand restoration of the old offering, Obina said. The one our fathers abandoned generations ago. Gasps echoed through the crowd. The river offering? But it was forbidden. A man shouted. Another villager cried, No one who performed it ever survived. Obina clenched his fists. They said if we don't perform it before the next full moon, the river will overflow and swallow our homes. The spirits will take what they want. Chidera's eyes widened. Then we must prepare. But Elder Mbemina shook his head gravely. Who will dare attempt the offering? It requires a marked one, a chosen one. Slowly, all eyes turned toward Obinna. His fate had been sealed. Before the elders could speak further, a wave of fear surged through the crowd. People stepped back, whispering harshly. He brought this doom. The spirits should have taken him. He must not stay here. Obinna's chest tightened. He had expected anger, but not the sudden rejection from the people he grew up with. His mother pushed through the crowd, tears streaming. Stop this. That is my son. A woman spat on the ground. Your son has become a spirit's plaything. Chidera stood beside Obinna, fists clenched. He risked his life to bring a warning. But fear overshadowed reason. A man threw a stone that landed near Obinna's feet. Leave our village, he shouted. Before the spirits take us too. Obinna's mother dropped to her knees. Please, please. Elder Mbemina raised his staff once more. Enough. None of us wish for this. But the ancestors marked the boy. He cannot remain inside the village until we understand his purpose. Obinna's heart fell. You want me to leave? The elder's voice softened. Only for now. You must stay at the old shrine near the forest. It is safer for everyone. Chidera protested. He is not cursed. But Obinna lifted a trembling hand. It is all right. I understand. His mother embraced him tightly. Come home soon, my son. As he walked toward the forest path, villagers avoided him as if he carried death itself. Once out of sight, Obinna wiped his tears. He had mocked the ancestors, and now he was living the consequence. Yet the whispers returned. Do not fear exile, it is where your true journey begins. Obinna looked back at the village lights fading behind him. He was no longer Obinna the fearless. He was Obinna the marked. The path to the old shrine was overgrown, swallowed by vines and thick bushes. No one had visited it in years, not since the ritual was abandoned. Obinna pushed through the foliage until the shrine came into view. It was a small, cracked structure made of stone and clay, half buried by roots. Strange carvings covered the walls, faces with hollow eyes, spirals, lightning symbols, river waves. The ancestors' language. As he stepped closer, the markings on his arms began to glow brighter, casting light on the shrine. A low hum vibrated through the air. Obinna whispered, they knew I would come. Inside, the shrine was cold and empty except for a single wooden bowl sitting on an ancient altar. The bowl glowed faintly, reacting to his presence. Suddenly, the air shifted. A voice echoed through the chamber. Marked one, are you ready to hear the truth? Obinna spun around. Who is there? A figure stepped out from the shadows, an elderly man with white-painted skin, and eyes as dark as night. Obinna gasped. Osu the seer. But you disappeared years ago. Osu nodded slowly. I did not disappear. I was taken by the ancestors to await the marked one. Obinna's knees weakened. So the stories were true. Osu approached him, staring at Obinna's glowing arms. You have seen the river. You carry its judgment. Now you must carry its warning. What warning? Obinna asked. Osu pointed to the carvings on the wall. The river spirits do not awaken without reason. Something has been disturbing them for years, greed, defiance, broken traditions. Obinna frowned. And now they will punish us? Osu shook his head. Not yet. They offer one final chance. He handed Obinna a small calabash filled with shimmering blue liquid. This is the river's memory. Drink it, and you will see what the ancestors fear. Obinna hesitated. Then lifted the calabash to his lips. The moment the liquid touched his tongue, Obinna felt his body jerk violently. His vision blurred. The world around him dissolved into swirling blue mist. Then, he was somewhere else. He stood on the edge of Obodo-Odu, but the village was different. Dark clouds hung low, lightning forked across the sky, and the spirit river raged like a beast unleashed. Huts were crushed. Trees uprooted. People screaming. The river was overflowing, devouring everything. Obina watched in horror as the river rose taller than the tallest palm tree. Water spirits swam through the flood, grabbing villagers and dragging them beneath the waves. Chitara was trying to pull Obina's mother onto a rooftop, but a massive wave crashed and swallowed them both. No! Obina screamed, running toward them, but his feet passed through the water. He was only a witness. A thunderous voice shook the heavens. This is the future of Abodo Udu, if the offering is not restored. Obina turned. The river spirit he saw earlier rose from the flood, her body towering like a mountain of water. She looked down at him with glowing eyes. You mocked our warnings. But now you must carry our message. Only the marked one can restore balance. Obina fell to his knees. Tell me what I must do. The spirit extended a hand made of swirling water. Gather the 4 elements of the ancestors, earth, fire, wind, and water. Offer them at the river altar on the night of the full moon. But that is only 3 days away. Obina cried. Then you must move quickly, or your people will drown in their own disbelief. The vision began to fade. Obina gasped and came back to the shrine, falling to the ground, trembling. Osu leaned over him. What did you see? Obina whispered, voice breaking. Destruction, death, if I fail, the river will ruin us all.